Hey everyone, it's Exo Man. I didn't think that I would be talking about this again so quickly, but it's about the court case, two court cases specifically. The recent court case where Geico was made to pay 5.2 million or so to the woman who contracted venereal disease while having an affair and having sex in a man's car. I hate it when people do that, in a man's car. It's pretty ridiculous. We understand that, but I was trying to tell the story and help people understand at least my thoughts on it, and just you got to look at both sides. You have to argue both sides and then come to your judgment or your conclusion. So anyway, when I talked about this, we briefly touched on the case going back, I don't know, 20 years ago or so, with a woman who was burned by McDonald's coffee and received a large compensation. Now, bear in mind that I don't really even know the facts or bother researching them on these things, specifically this, because it's kind of irrelevant. You know that the gist of it, and what I'm getting at doesn't really. We don't need to dig deeply into the facts, but I do know some of them. And so I had one commenter say, "You were wrong in dismissing that as that woman milking the system or being predatory." What I didn't say any of those things, but he got that I inferred that. What I was saying, what I think about that, and it's been years since I've reviewed that case. The woman was initially awarded, I think, $2.7 million for burning her lap with coffee, and the facts are always worth learning when you're trying to assess something like this, and especially if you're in the judicial system. And the facts were interesting. She was an elderly woman, and she was not lightly burned. She was severely burned, and it required surgeries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But $2.7 million 20 or 30 years ago was what equivalent to what now? A lot. Huge. So the bottom line is there will be pain in life. Sometimes other people will be at fault, partially or 100%, whatever. Even the courts walked this back and said, no. McDonald's is not 100% to blame. You have some culpability. You have some personal responsibility. Hot coffee should be hot. Okay, it was too hot, but it wasn't hotter than boiling. It was hot coffee. It was very hot, and yes, too hot, and it caused you injury. Let us have this company compensate you for your injury. Okay, boom, they gave her $260,000 for that, or whatever. And that was to compensate not only her, but her son and her daughter or whoever, in-laws, that cared for her and lost income caring for her. Understandable, that's fair. And then $2.7 million. Okay, you're rich for life. You don't ever have to worry. I just don't think it should be that way. I'd like to receive that money. I once sued for $3 million for libel, slander and libel. News of the World had me on the front page of their tabloid saying that I had a sexual liaison with Mike Tyson. It was completely absurd. That's another story. It's a long protracted battle I had with News of the World. I wasn't homosexual. They used my picture. I'd met a writer, and he just stole my pictures and made a story and thought I wouldn't come after him or the News of the World. Anyway, I got $60,000 in settlement, not $3 million. Didn't go to court, settled out of court. I was young and poor and just kind of afraid to go overseas and fight that battle. So you don't always get what you want, and that was plain and simple, pure, 100% slander, and I should have gotten really compensated for that. But something like this, you're going to have pain in life. You're going to get hurt. We don't need to be such a litigious society where we jump to the defense of the old woman. Sure, she's an old woman and she got hurt, and I feel terrible for her. I'm sure she's passed by now, but the, it just needs to be balanced. We need to award, yes, some pain and suffering, yes, some compensation for lost income, and let it be fair. And let's not get crazy. So with this case about the woman having sex in the car with the guy, and then they went after his insurance company. Yeah, I would agree with my wife that it's crazy, wrong that Geico, no matter what you think about these companies, that also is irrelevant. Whether or not you like big companies or this company or that company you hate, that should be irrelevant. It's principle, okay? Principle. Circumstance should never alter principle, and the principle is let them pay what they rightfully should pay, and not more. Is Geico responsible for the woman having sex? Is that a moving vehicle thing related? Is that what the insurance was for? No, certainly not. It was for the car being operated as a car. We get that. But I'll end this, but quickly back to the McDonald's thing. As I always say, we are not qualified to even know what to worry about. And here again, that fact presents itself, right? When you go to McDonald's, the danger that you face is not hot coffee, which should be hot. It's the food you're eating there. It is deadly. There's no real debate about that. That food is highly, much of it in many ways is toxic to your body. It's bad for your liver. It's bad for all your organs, bad for your brain. This is known. McDonald's knows it. You know it. You assume the risk. If you want a good, healthy diet, you better start looking to organic fruits and vegetables and good, clean meats and things to sustain yourself. If you're going to Burger King and McDonald's and Pizza Hut, you are assuming risk, and you are killing yourself. Coffee's not going to kill you. The food that you get at those places will. So isn't it funny that nobody's really winning awards for millions of dollars? People are having triple bypass surgeries. They're dying on the table. They're dropping dead in parking lots, in movie theaters. They're not suing because they did it to themselves, and they kind of know. And it's kind of a difficult uphill battle to sue the company. And I'm sure they bring cases, and I'm sure we could research it and find a bunch of them. But it's not the company's fault. They're just selling a crappy product. And if you buy a baseball bat and you hit yourself over the head with it, you don't sue Spalding. It's your fault. You did it to yourself. Anyway, I'll end it there. Love to all. Thank you for taking the time to watch the crazy video, and blessings.